What is up, everyone? It is Mr. M, and I'm back today with a new collection update. I don't have that many records to talk about this time around, but what I do have is definitely worth being talked about. So first, I'm going to start with a couple bands I got to see live a couple of weeks ago. First up, this is Mortiferum with their 2019 promo. Two new songs that are going to be on their full-length album that'll be coming out on Profound Lore Records later this year. There's no titles to the songs, it's just called 1 and 2. Pretty simple J card. Unlike their previous album, which I believe was called Altar of Decay, Altar of Decay just had one guy doing everything. This one, there's 5 people on it. When I saw them live, there was only 4, so they probably just had someone extra in the studio that needed to get credited. But Mortiferum, they're not really reinventing the wheel. It's the same style of death doom that they had on Altar of Decay. It's still really good though, and I'm hyped for the new record, but it's not anything super new. You know, they're not doing anything too different from what was on that album. And then along with them was Hyperdontia. This is A Vessel Forlorn. This has been out for a couple of months now, but I just now got around to picking it up after I saw them live. There is one new song on here, which is the title track. There are 2 live songs, Internal Incineration and Majesty, which were recorded live when they did a show with Undergang and Frenolith in Turkey last December. And then it has the Abhorrence Veil single with the songs Stapled Down, the studio version of Internal Incineration, as well as Malicious Concept. Much like the Mortiferum promo, the one new song that's on here, it's not too far different from anything they've done. It's still incredible. Still some solid Killtown death metal. I know for a fact they played A Vessel Forlorn when I saw them live. I can't remember if Mortiferum played either of those songs live. They probably did at least one, but yeah, solid song. This is a pretty great compilation. The live songs on here sound incredible. And then of course the Abhorrence Veil single, which has been out for a couple of years now. If you're a fan of Hyperdontia, you probably heard those. So I think they were put on there just so they could finally be on a CD version, as opposed to just having the vinyl and I think tapes as well. And then when I was at their merch table, I thought that this was something different, but it's not. This is the tape version of A Vessel Forlorn. Alternate album artwork. It's got a beige sort of background instead of black, and the logo is not white. Got the credits right here, and then on the other side you got a live picture, which is probably from when their show in Turkey, since they have live, since that was when the live material was recorded. I don't know if there's any extra copies. This was a tour edition. It was available exclusively on the Western Evisceration tour that they did with Mortiferum. So if there are any extra copies, it's probably going to be on Extremely Rotten Productions store or maybe their Bandcamp, but I have no idea if there's any extra copies. And then at that show, I also got this. This is Fetid with Steeping Corporeal Mess. And the reason I got this is because Hyperdontia, Dave, their vocalist, wasn't going to be able to do the tour, so they were going to have, Hyperdontia was going to have one of their guitarists do vocals while still doing guitar work. But when Hyperdontia landed in Oregon for Eternal Warfare Festival, that guy who played guitar, he ended up getting kicked out and turned right back around to either Turkey or Denmark. Forget where he's from. So the band, they had to find someone else, and that ended up being Julian, who does drums and vocals for Fetid. And it was a perfect fit, I think, because he sounds almost exactly like Dave. They were down a guitarist because they couldn't find a replacement guitarist, but I still think they sounded incredible nonetheless. But anyway, that is why I was able to pick up this album on their tour. They had CDs and vinyl, but I didn't have the money for the vinyl. If maybe at some point I'll get it on vinyl, but not right now. Put out on 20 Bucks Spin Records. another band that just 20 Bucks Spin puts out, that just keeps putting out incredible material. This is their debut full-length album, and it's got 5 songs. It's between 30 and 35 minutes, so I guess it's kind of a shorter record, but for there being 5 songs, I guess it's kind of like average length or whatever. But this sounds exactly like something that would have come out of Denmark, you know, especially with like Julian sounding like Dave. If you just blindly handed someone this record without telling them that it was vetted, I'm sure some people, especially people who are fans of Wiener Gang or Hypodontia, they would think that Dave probably had something to do with this, which to my knowledge he didn't. But it's just filled with some incredible riffs. You know, this is, because of the sort of shorter length with it being around 30 minutes, you know, it's something that it just keeps fucking spinning. I think I listened to it 3 times on the way back after the concert. You know, it's just a solid record. I think it's a step up from their demo, Sentient Pile of Amorphous Rot. And that demo was fucking killer. So, for them to step it up with Steeping Corporeal Mess, I'm sure it might have, it definitely took a lot of work, that's for sure, but it sounds absolutely incredible. And if you like the demo, you're definitely going to like their full-length album. Next up is a demo from a band called Tenebro. I believe that's how they're pronounced. They're from Italy, so I'm not entirely sure. And this was put out on Desert Wastelands Productions. It's got this nice little slipcase on it. VHS style slipcase. It even has the VHS logo right there. It's got, for fans of on the front, which is Mortician, Impetigo, and Necrophagia. I'll get to that in a minute. And then on the back, just like all DVDs or VHSs back in the day, it's got that small little blurb, as well as a rating, and then the FBI warning about copying it, about not copying it. And then here is the full album artwork. Varies from what's on the slipcase. There's 3 songs on here. All 3 songs are in Italian, so I'm not even going to try to pronounce any of the names. Nice transparent red shell. Very simple J card. This is just one guy who does everything on here. And this band, and in particular this demo, was inspired by 70s and 80s Italian cult horror movies. And clearly there wasn't any lyrics, because you would have seen them if there weren't any lyrics printed on the J card, because you definitely would have seen them if they were. But given that the song titles are in Italian, I'm sure the lyrics are in Italian as well, which means I wouldn't be able to know what they're saying anyway unless there is an English translation. But for comparisons, like it says on the front, for fans of Mortician, Impetigo, and Necrophagia, those are pretty much on point. Actually pretty much all of the riffs that are on here are not nearly as complex as some of the stuff that Necrophagia in particular can do. Impetigo, I've never really listened to them much, so I'm not entirely sure if that's a great comparison. But I know for a fact on the last song on here, which like I said I'm not going to pronounce because I will fuck it up, but there is some heavy suffocation worship on that. Early suffocation worship with the slams that they have towards the middle and ending of that song. So if you're a fan of any of those bands, Suffocation, Impetigo, Necrophagia, Mortician, definitely give Tenebro a listen. Again, they're out on it's out on Desert Wastelands Productions. I was supposed to have it a while ago actually, but it got delayed at the press, but I'm very happy to have it now because it's a fucking killer demo. And then the last album that I'm going to be talking about for this video, this is Emergence by Dreadnought. This is their 4th full-length record, first put out on the first album of theirs that's been put out by Profound Lore Records. Comes with this insert here, which could be a poster if you wanted it to. It's got the lyrics there, and it's got some artwork down here. If you watched my video where I talked about my favorite gatefolds, this was in there. And if you didn't watch it, here's the artwork again. The gatefold folds out to have some amazing artwork. both outside and in. And with maybe the possible exception of, at least for now anyway, Planetary Clairvoyance by Tomb Mold, I don't think there's going to be another record that's going to come out this year that has artwork that's better than this album. And then the vinyl variant I got is this really beautiful orange, pink, red, and white merge. Super simple center labels as well. And I love it when the vinyl itself matches the album artwork. It's better than just having some random color in there. As for the music, if you've never heard of Dreadnought, they play progressive, they play primarily doomy, they have some blackened elements as well as some ambient stuff. There's 5 songs on here. It's a longer record for having 5 songs. It's around 46 or 47 minutes or something like that. But it's fucking incredible nonetheless. There is one song on here called Still. It's the shortest song on the record. It's a very ambient song. One of the members in here plays flute, so that's on there. Clean vocals on on all of these songs, so if that's not your style, you're not gonna like it. But like I said, it is doomy, and doom records do traditionally, for the most part, have clean vocals. Overall, on all the songs, there is some of the elements that are in Still are in all the songs. There's, with the exception of Besieged, there's some ambient, very chilled out, relaxed moments in the songs. The final 3 songs, Pestilent, Tempered, and The Waking Realm, make up the majority of the record. Each of those songs are over 10 minutes long. And so that's where the bulk of the record is, right there. And they're all similar in the way that they have those peaks and valleys, where I was talking about with like the valleys, they have those ambient parts. And then during the peaks, they have the traditional doomy stuff as well as some blackened stuff. Their vocalist, when she's doing her screaming stuff, she sounds absolutely tortured. And the way the music ends up going as well during those parts, it does sound very much traditionally like a black metal song, despite the fact that it's definitely not. There's a lot of atmosphere to those calm parts as well. The clean vocals, regardless whether it's a calm part or a super heavy part, sound very haunting just in general, sound very haunting. And then the way some of those clean guitars go over, whether it's the intro to a song or in the middle of the song, or I think there's even a part in one of the songs where they have clean guitar going over the rest of the destruction that's going on in the background. And it's absolutely haunting. It's hard to really put this under one subgenre because they do play progressive, they do play doom, and there is some blackened elements to it as well. But I say this is some mandatory listening. If you have not listened to this record yet, do it. It's absolutely incredible. Now, especially if you are a fan of doom or blackened stuff, or even though this doesn't really touch on death metal that much, if you're a fan of like what Horrendous did with their most recent album, I think you might like this as well. But yeah, that Dreadnought's Emergence, along with Fetid Steeping Corporeal Mess, those are high up on there for contenders for Album of the Year, despite the fact that we still have over 6 months to go in this year. And that's going to conclude this video. I hope you guys find something you like. There's lots of good music to listen to. Links to what I can find will be in the description below. Thank you for watching, thank you for commenting and subscribing, and I will see you in the next video.